who's buying New Zealand commercial property at the moment if people aren't doing it? Like, is it fund providers? Is it, like big wealth funds? Like who are you seeing mop this stuff up? Because,
Yep.
and then second question, or maybe let's start there and I'll go to my second question as to why I'm interested in that.
It's a good question because it's changed in recent times. Fund managers are doing a lot less. And one of the reasons is they got liquidity issues because they purchased properties pre-2022 and they've got leverage on it and the debt's a lot more expensive now and the yields they bought it weren't super high back then. So as the interest rates have gone up and the yields haven't caught up, they're not in a position to invest as much as they once did. In fact, they're selling. A lot of them are using that to free up liquidity to pay investors out, or they're not paying them in some cases. So they're not active, they're sellers. But the active buyers are individuals. And this is the same thing in Australia. Those individuals are cashed up business owners, people that have sold 15 houses, or maybe they've got an inheritance or whatever, they sold their family home and they need a retirement. Like that's what's happening. So it's individuals buying, and their percentage has gone up over 50% now, and the rest of the institutional guys.
Far out. Okay. So, because what I was thinking about is, as a country, New Zealand has a higher level of older business owners than other countries in the Asia Pacific region, I believe. And there's sort of whisper that with that aging business population, that they either sell those businesses, but then younger people can't afford to buy into them, or maybe by the time they get to that point, they're ready to, they simply close them down, or the other school of thought is actually they're severely undervalued because younger people can come through and go, oh, we actually should be doing it like this. We can add value really quickly, and that's going to be fascinating to play out. But I would imagine that the average age of a commercial property owner would probably be in New Zealand a bit higher. And interested, do you guys look into all of that data to figure out who owns all of these properties, what sort of stage are they at, and what's going to motivate them to potentially sell?
Yeah, look, without generalizing, they are generally fairly older. The amount of 80, 90-year-old sellers we deal with, it feels like every second time.
Okay,
I don't have the statistic on it, but they're older, wealthy people that have probably bought the thing 20 years ago and, like you said, got good businesses or whatever behind them. It's a really interesting period in time as well because, like you said, all the baby boomers are selling out of their businesses, and there's going to be a period, this is my prediction, a lot of these individual businesses will get bought and consolidated. So you think about like legal practices, accountants, like there's no people buying into them. So maybe they're bigger companies that'll just buy them at a pretty low multiple and then kind of run it into their business at a higher multiple, so they absorb a lot of these businesses. So you'll see less small business and a few larger ones come into it, which could be really good in many cases, like it's happening in many pharmacies or legal firms, mortgage companies. It's just a trend. So it's not super relevant to what we're talking about. But again, you've got to understand every aspect of the market so you can predict things. And I'm predicting, there'll be consolidations of businesses, less owners, but with bigger businesses.
When you're dealing with these older ladies and gentlemen that own these commercial properties, two things. Do you gain any insight as to like why were they doing it 20, 30 years ago? Like why did they get into that when traditionally in New Zealand there would be an outline to be like, hey, you should be doing the property thing. You should have 9 of them by now. And then are they fascinated by someone as young as yourself, just, full send, just getting into it?
Look, good questions. Generally, they're business owners. So they all start and buy their property and go, oh, the business is still going well, let's buy another one. And that's kind of how it happens. So people own sheds, medical professionals, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Look, the owners, they're an interesting one because a lot of our buyers are quite elderly too. And one of the interesting dynamics we kind of run into is, especially in the higher price points, these are the guys buying like 10 mil plus things. There's huge egos either side of the fence. So, like a lot of our kind of rural clients, they've done incredibly well for 50 years. And then if a seller says, oh, I'm not fixing that thing, then they get the shits. And then it's like you can have Mexican standoffs over like $50 items sometimes. So you feel like you got to be a psychologist sometimes, counseling to say, let's not shit the bed over a silly thing like this. So big egos are all part of it because they've both done well in life. So, business or investment related, and But the good thing is we're in between it, and there's generally a sales agent in between it. So we don't really deal too much direct with the owners. We prefer an agent there because they're managing them, because we're still the enemy, because we're a buyer. They feel like we're taken from them, and a lot of them want to choose who they sell to as well. That's a big thing. They don't want to sell to certain types of people for whatever reason, because of their own biases. So you kind of got to get in between and smooth things over.
Yeah, geez, you really need to turn the engineering brain on to solve some of these things.